Alco switcher locomotives. Hobbytown of Boston. They make drives. They make complete locomotives too. This one here is a Alco RS, not a 3, not a 2. Could be a 3.5.2.1, but it's made by Hobbytown of Boston. They made die-cast Zamek locomotives back in the day, like the 60s. I found one in a secondhand store, drug it home. It's finally got its turn to have a video made of it here. Follow along. We'll take this thing, take it apart, clean it up, and find out why it may be called an RSD-4 or an RS-3. It's just got so many variations, it's just off the chart. I'm Ron, Classic Model Trains. Let's get into it. Well, let's take a little gander at this thing right here. Somebody put a pretty nice little paint job on it, I'd have to say. Number boards back here. Oh, this railing here's a little hammered out. And it's metal. All very metally. I had this sitting around for quite some... Oh, nice drive line down under there. Got the 6-wheel trucks. So we're going to have to look up... It's not a RS2, because that'd only have 4 axles. 2 here, 2 here. Do some research. We'll figure out what the story is behind that. I'll fill you in on it. I want to get this body off, though. What's it going to take? I'm not seeing any screws anywhere. Oh, it's already got Katie's. Oh, nice. Super nice. I see a couple of things right there. Maybe I'll go see if I can find the illustrated parts breakdown on this thing. Maybe it's got some story that it can tell me. Here's the diagram I found. And it's for the one that I'm working on. 12-wheel drive, 1,600 horsepower. They don't even call it by what it is. It's just kind of a vagity. I did notice that I'm missing the things up here. And I've had these. I ordered these a couple of months ago when I got the locomotive. So we're going to have to do some creative installing them because there's screw holes. And it shows screws holding them on. But I didn't get those. Figure that out. Paint it the right color to match. The only thing I did see is this one screw here under the cab, one screw here under the cab. So I guess we're going to just take everything apart. Don't know, I got to start somewhere. I don't see, looks like there'd be screws right there, but they're not. Who knows? I found this at the secondhand store, and it was the right road name, so I picked it up. Okay. I poured those out over to get rid of the screws, and everything fell apart on me. That's fine. I got one of these to hold all the stuff. Yeah, this looks like it's dry. Dry for sure. Now I see screws that I can actually get to. Down under there. And right there. Oh man, are they little buggers too? Uh-oh. Oh. It's like the same as those, yeah. Second one, right up over here. And I bet you it didn't do much. Nope. Didn't do anything at all. So let's go back here. Start taking stuff apart. Maybe there'll be 2 more screws under this. I'm going to take this off real careful. And I'm going to try to eyeball. Okay, here's my insulated on the rear of the locomotive, long hood. I can see the insulated wheels right there, and they are on the fireman's side. I'm saying that to myself, so that way when I forget later on, I can come back and look at this video, and I'll know which side to put them on. There's one screw underneath there. Oh, this half shaft's coming out. This is the first time I've ever done this, so I'm exploratory surgerying here. I don't know what I'm doing. Sure. These here, like you can almost... Well, I guess I did. I could just get underneath there. They're a little different. They're a little bit longer. All the truck ones go here. These thing is still magnetized. Can you believe it? Yeah, good times. These are brass. I don't think I'm going to get this one here out. It just doesn't present itself that way. This big one back here, what's it going to do? Nothing. It's going to come out and then get stuck. Worked on one where you got to take out the couplers. So I'll take these out. It's the old number 5s. Bearing block right there. Thrust washer. Things are falling apart. When I'm not looking, that ain't got us going nowhere. I can unscrew this. I'm running out of room for the head to come down, but there. Golly. Oh, what do we got going on here? Somebody did a nice job right there. You betcha. Wow. Very nice. Grease is kind of thrown up inside there. Cab. Yeah. Got some nicks on it. Is that a flywheel? Good Lord. It's got an updated Japanese cab. Well, I don't know if it's updated, but what in the... This is wired in so nice. I can't even take it out. Take it out. Oh, that's why I hate hand railings. Just details. The more I touch it, the more the details keep falling apart. I see this one's a ground right there. If I could just get more room, fine. Warm up the soldering iron. This probably, oh, well, that worked out really well. Turn the soldering iron off. No, they're still going to be unsoldering because I want to take the whole thing apart. All of it. I'm surprised it's got a flywheel. The original diagram doesn't show a flywheel. This has been, of course, yeah, 1st gen, 2nd gen, 3rd gen stuff. Here's that screw that wouldn't come out. Now it did. We got to take this. This is terrible. This screw here is holding the motor in. The motor is covering up the truck where it rotates at right here. So how do you get, this is a terrible, terrible idea. This one here is rotating and it's underneath this. So do we take the gear tower off to get to that? The fellow that built this glued that wire to keep it out of the way. I mean, it's got a nice job on it. So I'm going to take this screw out, these two out here, and see what happens. So far, the machine bolt is 400 miles long. Goodness. How about this one? Yep. The pickup, ground pickup. There's our gear tower, driveline input. The drive line, notice how these things are cut. One is facing straight up and down, while the other one's at a 90 degrees. So they're 90 degrees out of phase. Super important when you're building these things. So we can reach one truck here. And it looks like it's got an insulated bushing on it. What's that? Is that some windshield that came out? Everything just, stuff's falling out. I don't see it. This is as far apart as this truck appears to come. There's a lot more parts on it than I anticipated also, with this little update right here. 2 short ones. Bearing top plate. Same thing over here. These 2 screws. And they're as tiny as the rest of them. Little fellers. This flywheel should come out. Yep. It's even got like a constant velocity joint inside there. Not really, but it's got a square drive that goes into that ball. And then that ball ties in. I am loving this locomotive. Pull this wire out, even though it's strategically installed in there. The only thing I can think of is just unscrew this screw, and as I'm doing it, the motor's going to drop out. Yep. And then we can get to this screw right here and unscrew it, and then the truck will come out. There's a bushing. Wow. Oh. Rear truck had a bushing on it. Are these trucks identical? They are. One motor mount, one motor with a fancy disconnect for the light. And it looks like it's a 5-pole, which is unexpected. I'm not going to pull that magnet out because it could demagnetize. But since I do have it out, I'm going to remag it because I've got a remagger. We're going to be able to give this thing everything it could ever want. This here, we're going to clean it up with odorless mineral spirits. I'm going to see what I can do about gluing these stanchions back down that are broken off, because I've done just about all of them. Yeah, lots of. Well, how many's even left? Yeah, that seems about right. Sure. It's got a great paint job on it. Oh, here's the part number of the chassis. 1376-1. Yeah. I didn't have to take the couplers out, but since I did, I'm going to take the other one out too. I mean, if you're going to come this far, might as well, I'm just taking it all the way out. These guys here are filthy. And I got a new Ultrasonic, same one as the last one. I could drop these in the bag. A lot of this stuff I can ultrasonic it because it's not painted. Now this is painted, but the paint ain't very good. So I could, again, make that paint better, clean up all these wheels. Really good with the ultrasonic. So I better get on that. It takes a while to warm it up. See what kind of touch-up paint I can maybe put on this. This was interesting how the center cab locked all the pieces in shape. This mark there. Let me get this out of the way. It's got that and that. So when this came down on it, that held everything in place. These hinged off the front and the back. So it kind of rolls in. Oh, this way. Put it in there. Yeah, back's being held on. I love it. Okay, I take all of my bad words back. This is pretty fancy. And the guy that did the work on this did a nice job indeed. So now we're going to clean it. Cleaning stuff up, and we'll come back for reassembly. I'm going to run all this brass stuff in at 105 for just about 5 minutes. This bushing blocks and thrust washers here, they go on the end of the drive lines. Brass screws, this little drive line. I'm worried about that plastic or nylon or whatever it may or may not be. Is this going to come apart? Yes. Thrust washers? Doesn't appear to be. I want to clean all that too. And the ultrasonic is just going to make it so much faster. Get this out of the way. What do we got to clean up here? Anything on this? Yeah. Bushing blocks right there. I don't know why I bothered separating it all out. Now I'm just going to mix it all up again. Alrighty. A little bit of this. The ultrasonic is heating up, but I'm also going to put this bag in while it's heating up. So that way that the liquid inside here is also at 105 degrees. And then when I pour this out in the sink, I pour it into a bucket. Let me show you. I got this bucket and I pour it into this. So any small pieces that might have gotten loose is in this. It's a lot easier to dig it out of this than it is to dig it out of the bottom of the bucket. Got me a new bag here so it won't leak all over my desk, my workplace. And then these here, I want to strip the paint off of them. I'm going to strip this red off of these also. And this may be done in 5 minutes at 105 Fahrenheit. But if it ain't, then I'll give these a little longer go at it. Well, I microwave these things in the ultrasonic cleaner for quite some time. And these ones came out real nice. I need to spray paint these silver. But whoever painted these, this paint is stuck on. 20 minutes. And this is where it's down to. So now I'm going to use this thing here and have all the little stickers stick in my shirt and my belly and irritate me for a while. I got to polish these up because we got to get these prepped for paint and painted because we need the paint to dry. I got started on this rebuild late. So we're going to clean these all up. I'm going to get these all whooped into shape. Yep, slow process, but they'll come around. Well, that was a brand new brush. I only did like 20 minutes of prep on these things.
Dang Dremels. Anyway, somebody told me you can find these on Amazon, like bulks of them for like dirt cheap. I should look that up because this is a scam. Plus, I'm picking all these out of my belly right now. These are all ready to go. These stripped up real nice. Prime it, get them into paint. Sure, run outside real quick. Just it's like 13 degrees out there, so I had to real fast and run back inside so it doesn't freeze. Wait half an hour, flip them over, shoot the other side. Yep, I use these boards here to hold stuff because I hold it in my hand when I'm outside. Secrets. I got the old CA glue out here, and I've managed to cut the hole on it so big, because it kept plugging up all the time, that I can't use it as an applicator. I'm going to use the bottom of this can and a toothpick and see about getting these stanchions glued back down here. There's so many of them out, it looks like they were soldered or something. Or they've been broken a lot, because the blob at the bottom is big. Then my fat fingers, as I'm rebuilding this thing, I'll manage to break them off again. 4 there. Are they in a row? Sure. How many's over here? Those 3 there. I'm never going to win any modeling awards. You can see the bases are thick. They're thick already. This is just one cow's ear portion. I'm not going to be able to polish up a lot better. Should have just took them all off and started again. 2 over on this side. Yep, there's 1 here. Now, if I can just set it down, it's straight. I'm eyeballing down these things here, and it looks really pretty nice. This one's doesn't look good this way, though. It looks like it's been in a wreck. And the Saturday crew came in and fixed it straight this way, but this way it's holy moly. This chassis cleaned up not that bad. I'm going to set it down, give this stuff an opportunity to dry. We'll come back to it. Now I'm waiting. Prepping, waiting. Sure, after most of the afternoon, what is this stuff here? Where's the name of it? What's it called? Aluminum. I'll buy that. One feller messaged me, he said spray paint them flat black and then come in at an angle up and then like shoot really low and shoot up to them. And so that way you're never putting in spray paint flat straight in, and it gives them more depth. Sounds good. The top of them I forgot to tape off because that is an electrical path. I did tape the bottom. So now I gotta have to wire wheel off the primer coat. Those are done. The cheap paints from the Walmart. I gotta figure out what color yellow is gonna match this one. And I know I've got a lot of different colors in here of yellow. Maybe I got 2. King's Gold. Well, I'm gonna have to do some tests on a piece of paper. I had more. If I ain't got no yellow paint here, I'm gonna be in a bad shape. Because we gotta paint these up now that they're all prettied and primered up, and the paint is already nicked. Sure. Rotten buggers. Do a couple tests. We need the gray too. Here's the gray. Medium gray. Pewter gray. Yeah, the joys. Waiting for paint to dry. Well, I'm busy painting here, and I had to wait for this paint to dry. I sprayed some primer on the cardboard because you got to have the color of the primer showing through so you know how your grays and everything are going to match out better. I thought I would have to paint these moldboards, I think they're called, inboard, this part, this right here. I thought it'd have to be some yellow, some gray. And when I dug up this picture here on the Google machine, I see the end boards, they're completely gray. So of course I did that after I painted the yellow, but now I'll know which color yellow. I marked it, wrote it down, which color is going to look closer. I'm kind of going with the King's Gold here. There's like 2 little places I got to touch up, very small, and that's the color we're going to use. And I think the gray that I'm going to use, because we got to match this gray here, it's going to be this medium gray. Painting these medium gray, they're going to screw on down under here. This is just actually kind of friction fitted. Put that on. Did I break one of those? Yes, I heard it go. I heard it. It's like your nose when you're in a fight and you hear it break. Dang it. Do that. The truck's paint is drying. So now it's reassembly time. When I first got this thing, I knew it was an Alco. And I figured it was an RS2. And I was calling it that for the longest time. couple of weeks ago, I had a big collection of stuff that showed up, the N-Gauge collection. There was an unbuilt Hobbytown model in there, and I called it an RS2 also, and I referenced the one I had. It was sitting up over here. And so a couple of you sharp-eyed fellers out there said that's not a 2. It could be an RS3 or it could be an RSD-4 or 5. So I decided to set out and educate myself and all of you that want to go along on this journey with me. What's the difference between an RS2 and a 3 and a 5 and a SD4 and oh, the best. So I got on the Google machine and this is what I come up with. The Alco RS1 is just a 4-axle diesel locomotive. It was built by Alco and GE. They used to be in bed with each other, I guess. From 1941 to 1953, and then GE left, and it was just Alco alone, and they built them from 53 to 1960. Alco had a subsidiary up there in the Canada area, and they cranked out some of them also. The RS1 has the distinction of being the longest production run diesel locomotive in the American market. It ran for 19 years. First one came off the assembly line, went to Rock Island in 1941. The last one came off the assembly line in 1960, went to National of Mexico, number 5663. Rock Island approached Alco and said that they want a new style of switcher out there. A lot of the switchers before this time, 1940, they were cab units. Cab units are like the F units. They look like a car body. Alco's the first ones to come up with the hood unit. The hood being that there's a cab offset on the chassis, and then there's a short hood and a long hood. Their engineers are the fellers that come up with this. These hood units, of course, allowed better visibility to the front and to the back, so for switching. And they could also be operated in reverse, so they didn't need to be turned around at the end of the line, or, you know, jiggy, you just drive it this way and then you get done and then you drive it this way and away you go. The hood unit idea was so good that all the other companies out there have used them ever since. And then they say that it can be operated any direction that you wanted to. The long hood was officially designated as the front of the locomotive. Then the RS2 comes along. These were in production from 1946 to 1950. It was introduced after World War II as an improvement on the Alco RS1. Between 46 and 1950, 377 examples of the RS2s were built, primarily for the American and Canadian customers. Alco discontinued the RS2 in 1950 in favor of the very similar RS3, which was more popular. And then along came the Alco RS3, manufactured from May 1950 to August of 1956. The RS3 greatly resembled the RS2, and the guy that wrote this article says that it also resembles the RS1, and it's like, okay, it don't. It resembles each other like siblings do, but not like twins, because it's the RS1 and all the other ones that came afterwards were quite different in my book. Much like the RS1, many RS3s served for decades. Some are still in use as of 2022. Now we get into doing variants of the stuff. An RSC-3 is an RS3 that had a 3-axle truck on the bottom of it, but only 2 of them were powered and 1 wasn't. So they just used it to spread the weight out a little bit better, longer truck, but it still only had 2 motors for 2 axles. The other one just idled along. The downside about this is that it reduced tractive effort by a third, because, you know, if the weight is spread out, but you got 2 wheels on both ends that are just lollygagging around, not doing anything, you don't get, not a very good idea, is kind of what I'm trying to get at here. Then they had an RS-3M that had an EMD 567B instead of the Alco 244. So there is your RS2, RS3s, because they look identical, with 6-axle trucks underneath of them. 2 of them are unpowered. Then we go to the RS4. It came factory 1600 horsepower. These were built from 51 to 52, and they had true 6-axle trucks with 6 motors on them, driving them, so that they had a lot more tractive effort. Then they went to the RDC5s. These were from 52 to 56, kind of the same thing. It's kind of like every 2 to 3 years or 4 years, they put the window crank over higher up on this side over here, and they just gave it a new model designation, or got a new motor and it got a whole nother model designation. Geez, and it appears to have stopped at 5, and then it goes to RS15, and it doesn't look anything like these things at all. So there's the bit of the road switcher history. I tried to look up how you could tell the difference between them, and I got an updated operating system on my computer, and it's smart as a button. And this website that I found, it said this is a bad website and all it's doing is going to get ready to hack you. Don't go into it. So I couldn't find how you tell the difference. I know the later versions had two headlights. They were either like this or like this on both ends of them, and the earlier ones just had the one in there. And that's about all I could get to between the 2 and the 5s. RS2s to RS5s, all very, very similar looking, just updated power plants, and then they got updated 3-axle trucks. So then digging along, I decided to go to Hobbytown of Boston and see if I could find anything on what they have. Because when I found just this picture, it says Alco's 1600 horsepower switcher kit. That's it. It doesn't tell you what it is. So then I found this one here that shows the different variations they had. Looks like the basic kit run you $40. They got part numbers on it. The RS3 power conversion 4-wheel with a flywheel drive. Then they got the RSD-4 power conversion 6-wheel trucks with flywheel drive. So the fella out there that's messaged me, there's about 2 of them, 2 or 3 of them that messaged me and said that's an RSD-4. They win the bell. They knew what the heck it was for me just flapping around like this with it real quick, or seeing it up here on the wall in a blur. You guys are just sharp-eyed fellers. Now that we're stopping in the middle of the video, I think that's a great time to put in Classic Model Train's Classic Model of the Week. Do you guys know who this is? If you do, put in the comments down below. If you don't, hold out till the end. I'll let you know. Let's get back to reassembling this thing so we can get it on the track and see how nice it's going to run.
Here is all of our little pieces cleaned up, and we're ready for the reassembly process. We're going to start with the chassis and the trucks. Get myself a little working room here. Everything's going to try to roll away from me. So we got a screw that's got to go down, and we got a screw that's got to go up back in these areas. And this one's got to go in, and then the chassis screw has to go in. Just makes so much sense. The rear one, we had the little spacer and the little brass feller. That in. This one. Truck still pivots. You notice how it doesn't pivot in the center. It pivots way off center. Now this motor was clean enough. I got myself a tactical Q-tip and some mineral spirits here. And I got up in top here and I cleaned up the commutators coming in from this direction right here. Because I've experienced one of these before, and the first time I did, I lost this little insulator right there. I lost 2, they're gone. They're still somewhere. And I don't have any spares at all. So I ain't risking nothing taking out those brushes. No siree. We'll give it a little taste of oil though, since we're here. Some up in this area. Oh, we wanted to remag this thing, yeah. I can see this green thing back here is just a piece of felt, because I can tell by looking at it. Looks like the pool tables that we used to play on back in the day. So we're going to throw a little Earl in there, and that's going to keep that back bushing area lubricated up. North side. Not north side. So that's the north. I'm going to put this in like this. This is a nice flat one, so these surfaces here, when we go to remag it, it is going to get a good juicing in there. Does it need remagging? I don't know. But I'm going to do it because I've got the technology. So that's out of the way, quick and simple. It's interesting that the brushes face down in this thing. Now we got to work on fighting this, getting that screw in. So far, that was easy. Is that it? One screw. God, I wish I had like an alignment pin or an extra screw. Just anything. This drive line is going to go in the back. We want to get out the Super Lube. Synthetic multi-purpose grease. Why synthetic? Because it doesn't affect plastics. We need to lubricate where this goes right here. This rear bushing block. This one. Right here, this one. And then this one. I don't know where he's going to ride at. Let's see. Looks like he's going to ride in. So we're going to lubricate it here. And for good measure, I'll lubricate it up in here. And then for even better measure, I'm going to try to get some in between these thrust washers. Because this one was built, it was put together to use 3. They had to space it out some. Am I getting in between them? Come on now. This one in and that one in. Get our little U-joint in right there. Our drive shaft. This has got a lot going on here. It's built really well. Then I got to get some grease on these gears down in here. Some? Sure. Oh, that seemed like that's just excessive, but they are kind of sealed up. It's not going to splash all over the place. This is the back of the Loco, and I know I want to put my insulated pieces that way on the wheels. But we've also got to grease them up some down in here, and there ain't a lot of room to get the grease in there at all. I'm not even sure. Maybe a guy needs to oil these. I'm not gonna be able to get that under it, especially as I don't really want to oil them. But I'm not gonna be able to get grease in there. You got to get these bushing blocks lined up, and you think they'll cooperate with you? No. They're like teenage children. 2 more just like that. We got them all in there. I am going to oil them like this, tip it up so that the oil could maybe flow into the bushing block and spin them. Do the same on the other direction. Facing downhill, spin them. I'm gonna give these worms a little more grease here. And by more, I mean maybe a little excessive. You got just this one time. We're only here today. That'll spin around in there and work its way in and do what it needs to do. This little fella here, he'll only go in one way. A couple little screws and 2. I am happy with the way that's working. Now this front truck, he's gonna go in like that, and it had this one with the spacer on it. So it means this one's insulated from the front. Let's lubricate where these blocks go with some super lube. Grease up here, and also back in here. Slide the block into place on it. That way you know you got it underneath there. Oh, let's get the motor in at this time. This little square drive, knuckle, extra bumpy. Wow. Our gear tower. Put some grease here. There's a lot of stuff on this to grease. And that's why this locomotive will be around 100 years from now, if it's maintained, because you can grease it. Run it, service it, lasts forever. Kind of. Some parts do wear. There's just nothing you can do about that. I wasn't paying much attention when I took this apart, what side everything was on. I might have to go back and look at it. I'm gonna say it's gonna go in like this. And these two came out as a pair. And the flat side is gonna go down. So they're gonna go in like that. This feels bindy. So we'll get some grease in here to help this process out. One little U-joint and another into this drive over here. Yes. Got these 2 screws to put in right here. And it looks like they want to be a little bit of a hassle. And this one's picking up some juice. All right, those are both in. So I'm gonna push this forward. Yeah, and everybody's in there doing what they're supposed to do. There's 2 little dots, so there's 2 little dots right here, the bushing block. I'm gonna say the 2 little dots they're gonna be over this. They're not gonna be over the top of that bushing block. So this is gonna go on like that. Little guys in here. And then this one up in there. Odd thing. It's gonna go in with this cut down portion like this facing the front to hold those bushing blocks in. Earlier I was noticing that the motor has the ability to flop around if it wanted to. And now that I've got less screws in here, I found the screws that I need to put in the motor. And in order to do that properly, I gotta take the truck apart. Yeah, take one of the axles out so I can get to it. So once I get this bolted down right here, I will take it apart and I'll show you where I missed the screw at. So maybe with any luck when you're doing this, you won't forget it like I did. That's the dream. That is the dream. Okay, these 4 screws up here are tight. And we're gonna try it out again. Yes, everything is doing what it's supposed to do. Except for one of them screws is supposed to be underneath this. We'll do that. We'll get that. You wait and see. I gotta get back in here. Hey, if you're going to forget something, forget step 2 of a 12-step process. It's going to go right there. I had to get into my screw stash over there. Sure, it's a 256 machine. It's sitting right there. It probably needs to be a countersunk head. But it went in. It's not binding up this truck at all. And it's not binding up the armature at all. So we're doing good. All I got to do is put all that back together and put this front truck together, because I had a very interesting thing to show you here. When I hooked this driveline up, it was giving a bind, and I'm like, what is going on? And the more I dug into it, you notice that I've got the 2 slip yokes. They're exactly straight with each other, and they can't be. They've got to be at a 90-degree angle. I had to take this out. We got to get this. They got to be like this. And put this little square drive in. Is it in? Did it go in? Felt like something happened. That was really easy. Jeez. Unlike these little bushing blocks, which are not. There. Now you can see that, oh, they're 90 degrees apart from each other. I wasn't getting the freedom of movement that I was dreaming about. And I'm still not. It's bindy. It's bindy right there. I don't know why. I'm going to keep working on it because I can just tell it's not going together quite right. And I'm going to have the hand railings all broken off here again by the time I'm all said and done. I know it. So here's what we got going on. I can't turn this. And I take this cover off, probably even if I loosen it up, then I can turn them. Probably that screw I put in. I bet you it is. Yeah, I got to get the right size screw for it now that I think about it. I don't think it had one in there because I don't remember taking one out. Yep, that screw head is sticking up too much. And then the drive line is hitting it. So now I got to get very specific and find the very specific screw that I need. This one with the head that's countersunk, like this one. And about that long. And then I believe this problem will be solved. But I'm glad I found it before it was on the track, and then you're all mad about it. That's why you keep testing every piece as you put it together, make sure it rolls. What's happening? Why ain't this moving? Then you know where your problem occurred at. This one. I believe this kind is the kind that I'm looking for. Maybe there's a reason why there's no screw there. Maybe it's just missing because of this problem. That's screwed in. Motor still turns. All right. Reassembly of all this stuff. Everybody's put back together. Yes. Sounds like it's going to be loud. It just sounds loud. Now time this 90 degrees off. This wasn't easy the first times I did it. That's where we started out earlier today. Yeah, nothing's binding that I can tell. Ignorance is bliss. So we're going to keep on keeping on. Once I got this all put together, I could roll this. And when this drive line's being held in, then I can check it and I could feel if it's got any resistance or not, so it doesn't break anything when we introduce the lightning to it. I'm going to grease this up because you've already seen what we got to do like 13 times. I'm going to put the wheels in where the isolators are on the other side. These ones are on this side. So now I'm going to put the isolators on this side. So that way, they're not shorting out. It's hard to believe, but I forgot some screws again that are down here at the bottom of these trucks. One right there and one right there. And the best I can tell, it's holding on the bottom of this bushing block right there. I don't remember taking them out. This is supposed to, are these magnetic? It's weak. I should be able to put this in here. And then I'm supposed to be able to, oh yeah. Pick that up, hold it. I can get down in there, put those in, yeah. I had a lot of screws. They kind of came at me all at once, That's okay. If there's time to do it the first time, there's time to do it again the second time. It's backwards from what you've heard, but it seems to be the truth. There. That wasn't hard at all. I only had to pull this one axle out instead of all of them. And the drive line, and to this, and to that. Keep checking my nut and bolt pile. That it's going down the proper amount of numbers. So I keep realizing, well, that ain't right. Well, where do those go? Well, I don't remember those. Must be getting late at night because I'm having a hard time getting these little buggers started. I feel like I'm going to have the holes stripped out because I've had the bolts in and out so many times. There. Outside of this wire here, I put this wire in under here, and we should have a runner. Everybody's soldered on. I'm just trying to get oh man, that's just too much. Trying to get these gears down under here all greased up. This flywheel makes it really nice to work on these things. You could manually do things to it. Of course, I want to put way too much grease on here, so that way it slings out and it's all over the layout and all over inside the shell. And clean up my work area here, put my tools away, and all this layout turns into a tool bench also. Clean all this stuff up and we'll test drive it and see what we got going on. And we twist it, and the bulb's going nothing. Oh, something for a little while, and then there was nothing. What a hassle. This is hard to do with. Oh, well, that shouldn't have had to be like that. Maybe it needs a little break-in, a little warm-up. Got to settle in or something. I don't know. I was hoping to be quieter. Oh, kind of sounds like a locomotive. Who needs DCC? Funny. That rear truck's got a little giddy to it. See that? What is going on there? And I didn't sand it, I promise. Huh. I gotta get back in there and see what's going on. Actually, when I was putting it on the tracks, I noticed that it didn't seem like it was sitting in all the way. It was probably dropped, I suppose. Dang it. Yeah, we gotta do a little investigating back there. But it is running. So I was able to rig up some juice to this thing here in my little jig. I got the back end all tore apart. We're going pretty smooth. But see, it's almost like these little U-joints are causing it, because you can see that the front one is jiggling just so slightly. And I never really did lube these, so that's just a little taste, a little something in there. Just a little peck. Sure, how can I do that with wheels in it? These wheels have been in and out so many times. My goodness. I don't see nothing running crooked there at all. Crying out loud. Well, put it back on the track. Maybe just the U-joints were just really dry, creating the havoc. Well, I'm not sure what I did, but whatever I did, I readjusted it somehow. Because it's smooth now. It ain't got that giddy to it. I think that the brass square driveline was hanging up inside of the nylon adapters, and it wouldn't allow that rear truck, the driveline was in that could bind it up. That's what I'm trying to say. Very efficient, like a quarter of an amp. We still hear that it's crawling. Wow. What is that at? A little over 2.5. Oh, no, it's still moving. Holy moly. So that got a nice creep to it. Look at that. I'm going to run out and buy me some more of these. Shoot. That's amazing. 2.5 amps. What? I'm telling you, it's working good. It is. Well, let's get that body put back on. 2.5. If we could do 2.6, it'd be, yeah. Still very efficient. Very good little creeper. The body on this thing is shiny, and this is sort of shiny, but I'm gonna make sure it stays sort of shiny with some of this. I'm gonna try to get it to blend with the other locomotive. Sure, just a touch, just a little bit. You can't even hardly tell. Doesn't even show up. Well, I found some screws that I had to put these end boards on, and they were too long. So I had to use the old zipper and zip off a lot. Those are bolted on, but now the original couplers are too short to go in here. And so I got some 148 standards, the whiskers. And they look the same length. Yes. So we're going to have to go to the longs. Makes me wonder if that's why the guy took the boards off in the first place, because it looked kind of silly without them. Dang it. I want, like, geez, it sticks out like forever. Holy moly. Sometimes the easiest jobs out there take the most amount of stuff. I had to completely redesign these. Once we put the longer couplers in to make them work, these things right here wouldn't fit because I don't know how they worked in the first place. The screws were too long and they got to bottom out or you have to get them tight or else they'll fall out. So then I put Loctite in them and then I got it all over the coupler and then the coupler was locked into place. So now I've got a couple shims underneath there just to help hold the coupler in. And then the screw went all the way in and it bottomed out so that it's tight so that it won't vibrate out and your couplers fall off. But I had almost every tool I had out here on the bench. And this took like 45 minutes to come up with a plan. It's nice that I've got all the tools and I got the parts here to do this. But man, you got to have, you know, lots of things. 256 by quarters is what these were. These in here probably were 256 by 3/8, 7/16. And I cut them, and I actually had longer ones. I don't know why. These are the shims I used, number 208s. Underneath there, they're 15,000ths of an inch thick. We still got to get the shells on. And I've got this horrible feeling, oh, this wire, I need to glue it. I was going to do that. It was a good idea. It's got to be kind of where it was, because the body comes down right along this line right here. So this was tucked up tight underneath of it, like so. Piece of cake. On to the next problem. Well, I've gently fought all this stuff up on in here, holding it all together. And now I'm going to try to get the screw. This probably isn't going to work. Probably the screws need to be in. If I can drop this down just some to get the screws. Oh, geez. I mean, the engineers. Now I'm back to being mad at you guys. All you had to do is not put this thing right there or not put this. It perfectly covers that dang hole up. Uh-oh. Lose that in the guts at this thing. I'm all done. Oh, it's like so close. Come on. Jam it in there. Oh, there's one. Okay. Now I got to get the other one jammed in there. Probably tore up some of them threads because I just screwed it in. Kind of helps having the truck tipped up in the back to give you just one more room. Okay. Well, they won't fall out now, that's for sure. I guess you just screw each one down a little bit. I can't seat the whole thing. Some over here, some over here, some over here, some over here. We are steadily making forward progress by jerks and tugs. And I probably am going to pinch that wire, even though I tried everything not to. And then we'll have a dead short. And I gotta take it all back off again. Yeah, there's that. And I can fix the hand railings one more time. So I bent them all up. Manhandling this thing. It's always the little things that take the absolute longest, don't it? So last week's video, I asked for guys to send me in their patriotic train cars. Kind of like this that I've got going on over here with my red, white, and blue stuff. And guys, they picked up on it. The first two I got in, this here's Rick Moose J. He's got his examples of the Tyco bicentennial stuff. And then this other one's here came in from Rick Husek. Hopefully I said that one right. He, of course, has got some of the Tyco bicentennial stuff also. Keep sending those in. Some videos of your patriotic, military-themed cars. Any gauge. The classic model of the week is Anne Margaret. I always thought that was some prime minister from England or something like that when I heard that name. I still don't know who she is. I don't think I've ever seen one of her movies. I'm going to have this thing running around on the layout. It's going to play me off, is what I'm saying. It's going to be the last thing we look at here. So take a look at it when she's all said and done. See you guys next week. This is coming at you real time. That is really what it can do. I think remagging that motor really, really helped it out. The light bulbs even both work on it. It's a real fancy one for me. So nice.